Alright, so I had been putting that cleaning off for a long time, I admit it. It's done now, so I can move on. For those of you that are new to the channel, and probably a lot of you are, you really should go back to the first video in the series for this 1955 pressed bumper panel van. And just see where I started. Basically all I started off with that section there, and towards the back of the vehicle the spring support area, and then just the panels that go around, and there was a little bit of frame going back from that which was rusty. So from that point on, what I did is I made a whole new frame. All that framing underneath there, it's all brand new, all boxed section, quite thick steel. And then I went forwards from there, and I had a lot of trouble trying to square it up because it had actually gotten twisted somehow over the years. I think it got pulled out of where it was, stuck in the mud for, it had been sitting there for 50 years, documented. So they used a couple of trucks to get it out with chains, and basically the whole vehicle fell apart like a house of cards when they pulled it out. So I proceeded to rebuild the frame and work my way up. Most of this stuff is just tacked on to give me a spatial grasp of what's what. I basically just went around and I didn't have a roof. There was no roof at all. That came later on. So built the frame, laser leveled the frame, and then put this on, and then the back end on, and just try to get it as good as I could. And then, as I said, most of this was just tacked on for spatial measurements. None of it's final. I can take this off quite easily. I can take this panel off easily. The front end, we'll talk about the front end. So it looks good now. In here there was nothing. From this point forward there was absolutely nothing. I'll actually go and get, I'll just grab something. I'll be 1 second. That is all I had of the front end. So that little piece of frame there was the outrigger that went forward. And from that I got most of my measurements. You'd be surprised what you can find out from certain things, just like deduction. You work things out. So I had that one and a portion of the one on the other side. Nothing from here forward. And I mean nothing. There was no floor, there was nothing in there. The bottom, the whole front end of the vehicle was gone. All of these pillars were all rotted out. The bottom of the nose was, that whole valance on the inside. Then the secondary one that comes up from the floor. And then also the front valance, and then all of the strengtheners that are inside. And all of the buttresses that weld onto the outriggers. This has all been hand fabricated. So if you go back through the series, every single thing has been documented, just for posterity really. And I've just been slowly working my way forward, onwards and upwards. So I made the floor, that's all hand fabricated, and a lot of this seat here, well, the seat framework, whatever you want to call that, that's all been rebuilt. It was quite, just actually that was gone. That whole corner was just not even there, from memory. There's a couple of videos on that. It looks really good. It's covered in dust right now, but I've got a really nice patina going on in there. It's about 4 or 5 layers of paint, then just a clear over the top. So that's all the original paints that have been put over it, hand brushed, spray can, you name it, everything's been there. So just done the dog legs, so I've done one, and the other side hasn't even been touched yet. Obviously I'm pushed up against the wall here and in a small garage, so I'm quite constricted, but I work around it. So all of the lights are killing you here. All of the pillars have been remanufactured. There's a backing plate on this one that's still there. It's about 7 inches long, but everything else has been remade. All of the hinge bracketry on the inside, all of the front facing pillars, everything, it's all handmade, and I've tried to be exact as I could, and none of it's final right now. You can see over there with that door there's a bit of a splaying of the two, so the pillar's just got to be caressed with a hammer and dolly for a little bit further. But the nose can just lift straight off right now. That's what I will be doing, I'd say. I had to make all of the window frames, so all of the window framing, all of the sills, the roof is just shocking, so that's a whole nother story right there. For anyone who doesn't know, I had to travel a long distance to get that roof. Someone had come and picked it from the site where this vehicle was, and they took it because they had a couple of other vans, and they probably, I think from memory, they needed to fix a roof, and why not? For them it was a perfect opportunity. But I hounded him, and I think he probably didn't quite need, or I'm not too sure, but the roof just didn't suit his purpose. So he contacted me, and I went and drove and got it. So it's in 2 pieces, and I've just got this one sort of half tacked in now to give me a bit of structural strength at the front, just to stop it from flexing. And then obviously you've got to work out your heights and all of that stuff, so I had none of those measurements. So it's been an ordeal. I wouldn't, not an ordeal, but definitely a lot of work, a lot of fiddling around. It really tests your patience doing stuff like this. If you just go out and you've got a car and you just got a few patches to fix, it's not too bad. You're really just fixing what's in front of you. But when you've got to set your mind's eye to something that isn't even there, you've really got to focus in on what you've got to do, and you're talking millimeters here. So the frame's square to within a millimeter, it's level to within a millimeter, and then obviously all of these points, the bottom of the door points back, all have to be the right distance. So obviously all of this has been rebuilt, and so I was just able to take the door off the hinge just recently so that I could start on this, and I'm really happy with this. It's got a bit of flash rust on it, but that's nothing to worry about. I don't even worry about stuff like that. That's something I'll worry about later on. This is going to have to come out pretty soon anyway, because I haven't final welded some of the things on it, and I'm at the stage now where obviously I've just cleaned up in here and found all the tools that I lost. And so what I'll be doing today is just patching this up, and I know this is quite rusty, but I'm going to leave it as is and just treat that. But we'll be fixing this up, and then that'll allow me to either go forwards from there and fix this panel here, and you know, move forward from that. So then I can put the seat top on, which would be nice. It's had its beads done, so it can go on, and then probably final weld this. It has to come off and then welded from the back, and then it can go back on, and then it can all be welded back up. So, looking good. It's quite hot here at the moment. You guys over in the US are freezing, but we're the opposite right now, so nothing to have a mid 30 degrees Celsius day. So anyway, I'll get cracking and sort out this patch.